Imagine strapping yourself into a pressurized metal tube at like 30,000 feet.
Right, surrounded by 200 complete strangers.
Exactly. You can't open a window, you can't stretch your legs, and yet somehow your biggest concern in the world right in that moment is whether the baked chicken comes with a beetroot salad.
Oh, yeah. Or, if you should have just opted for the vegetable meatballs instead.
Right. It's so weird. Why do we obsess over these tiny, bizarre details when we travel? Well, welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is decoding the universal language of travel.
And it is a fascinating language to decode.
It totally is. For you listening, today we are unpacking a comprehensive guide originally designed as an easy English conversational blueprint.
Yeah, essentially a language manual for travelers.
Right. And it covers the entire spectrum of moving across the globe. We're talking everything from the exact way to check a bag to ordering a very specific hotel breakfast, all the way to navigating mountain treks.
And even executing the perfect front desk complaint, which is an art form in itself.
Oh, absolutely. But we're looking at this as more than just a language lesson. We're taking an anthropological look at the social contracts we enter the second we lock our front doors.
Because, on the surface, a conversational language guide just reads like a practical manual. Here's how you ask for the bathroom, right?
Yeah, just basic utility.
But when you look closer, it actually provides this really fascinating lens into human behavior. We often take these mundane interactions completely for granted.
Like you hand over your passport, you get a boarding pass, you walk to the gate. It feels so automatic.
Exactly. But travel is fundamentally a series of highly structured micro-negotiations. When you understand these hidden scripts, you don't just become better at navigating an airport.
You become a much more observant traveler.
Right. You start seeing the invisible scaffolding that really holds the whole global travel industry together.
So instead of just walking through a trip chronologically, let's look at the psychology behind these different phases. And the first major phase is the transit social contract.
Going from the check-in counter to the clouds.
Yes. And the guide introduces a traveler named Oliver Adams. His interaction at the check-in counter is, it's almost robotic in its precision.
Oh, it really is. It's purely transactional.
Yeah, he's flying to Chicago O'Hare for a meeting. He hands over a passport, places one bag on the scale, and in return, he demands this string of very specific data points.
Seat 18A.
Gate B12. And a confirmation that boarding starts exactly 30 minutes prior.
But the crucial piece of information he insists on verifying.
Oh, the time, right.
Exactly. He wants to know he will arrive in Chicago exactly at 1:45 p.m. local time.
It reads less like a human conversation and more like, I don't know, a data exchange between two mainframes.
Well, that data exchange acts as a psychological anchor.
How so?
Think about it. When we travel, we are actively surrendering our autonomy to a massive, complex, and largely invisible system.
Yeah, I definitely can't fly a Boeing 737.
Exactly. We don't fly the plane. We don't control the weather patterns over the Midwest. We don't control the air traffic control queue.
So we're just completely powerless.
Basically. So we cling desperately to the things we actually can verify. Seat 18A, Gate B12, a 1:45 p.m. arrival.
Well, so Oliver isn't just confirming logistics here.
No, he is establishing a baseline of safety and predictability in a highly unpredictable environment.
Okay, let's unpack this, because once Oliver actually gets on the plane, that strict transactional environment shifts into what I can only really describe as an illusion of choice.
Ah, yes, the in-flight service.
Right. Think about that airplane meal I mentioned earlier. The guide outlines a flight attendant offering 3 hyper-specific, almost Michelin-style meal pairings.
Which is so funny when you think about typical airplane food.
Totally. But why does an airline care if your vegetable meatballs come with radicchio or beetroot? The options are dizzying.
They really lay it out, don't they?
They do. It's like baked chicken breast on a bed of mashed potatoes with a green salad, or pork tenderloin stuffed with vegetables and cheese.
And then the desserts, you have to pair it with specific desserts like tiramisu or chocolate mousse cake or a lemon tart.
And then choose between lemonade and sparkling water. Yeah. It really feels like the airport is this bizarre assembly line where you, the traveler, are somehow both the product moving down the conveyor belt.
And the consumer making luxury choices.
Yes, exactly.
Well, the airline is essentially a manufacturing agency for you.
Manufacturing agency. Okay, explain that.
By providing a hyper-specific menu, they are giving you a localized sense of control. As you pointed out, you are strapped into a seat moving down a literal and metaphorical conveyor belt.
Right, you can't even stand up if the seatbelt sign is on.
You have zero control over your physical environment. but you can choose the pork tenderloin over the vegetable meatballs.
And the sparkling water over the lemonade.
Exactly. It softens the edges of that sterile assembly line experience and tricks the brain into feeling a sense of autonomy.
That is so wild. And the script isn't just between the passenger and the airline either. It dictates how we interact with the person sitting like 3 inches away from our elbow.
Oh, the seatmate conversation.
Yes. There is a fascinating scenario in the guide detailing a chat between two strangers on a flight from San Francisco to LA.
Right. Mike and the boutique owner.
Yeah. You have Mike, this fast-paced tech worker originally from New York who loves hiking. He is seated next to an SF native who owns a fashion boutique and prefers art galleries over the outdoors.
They are from entirely different universes.
Completely different. Yet they engage in this highly structured back and forth about hometowns and hobbies, and by the end of the flight, they are actually considering grabbing coffee.
It's a classic travel interaction.
But I read this, and I honestly didn't get it. I mean, is this structured small talk just a way to kill time on a flight, or is it a psychological survival mechanism for being trapped in a metal tube? Why not just put on headphones and ignore each other?
What's fascinating here is how humans navigate what sociologists call liminal spaces.
Liminal spaces. Like in-between areas.
Exactly. A liminal space is an in-between area. You are no longer where you started, and you haven't yet arrived where you are going.
Like airports
Yeah.
or train stations.
Airplanes, transit hubs, train cars. These are all liminal spaces where the normal rules of society are temporarily suspended.
Oh, that makes sense.
Look at the stark contrast between the two scenarios we just discussed. Oliver's interaction at the ticket counter is rigid, defensive, and purely about moving a body from point A to point B.
Very data-driven.
But hours later, in the pressurized cabin, Mike and the fashion designer are negotiating intimacy. They use the predictable script of small talk to build a temporary bridge across their differences.
So it's basically a subconscious way of making an inherently unnatural environment.
Sitting shoulder to shoulder with a stranger in the sky, yeah.
Feel human, familiar, and safe.
Precisely.
It's wild to think about how quickly we transition from being like a barcode scanned at the gate to confessing our life stories to someone we just met.
It's a huge psychological pivot.
But eventually the plane lands, the
Right.
transit phase ends, and we enter an entirely different arena, the hospitality spectrum.
Right, we go from surviving movement to claiming a home base.
Exactly. And the scripts we rely on undergo a massive shift the moment we walk into a hotel lobby.
You are no longer trying to facilitate transient movement. The goal now is to establish control, ownership, and comfort within a defined space.
The guide paints two completely opposite ends of this spectrum, the dream stay and the absolute nightmare scenario.
Oh, the hotel nightmare. We've all been there.
We really have. But let's look at the dream first. A guest named Maria Santos checks in. She books a single room for 3 nights.
A very standard check-in.
Right. The front desk hands her the keys to room 625 on the 6th floor, but then proceeds to download the exact rhythms of the hotel into her brain.
The schedule.
Yeah, like breakfast is strictly 6 to 10 a.m., lunch is 12 to 2 p.m., dinner is 6 to 9. The pool is open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
And the gym and room service are available 24 hours a day.
Right. It's so much information up front.
Well, compare that data to Oliver's flight data. Oliver needed precise times to facilitate his movement.
Okay, true.
Maria needs these time frames to understand the boundaries of her new temporary territory. By outlining the exact hours of operation, the hotel is communicating its reliability.
They are defining the walls of her safe harbor.
Exactly.
And once that reliability is established, the traveler immediately starts testing it, right? With these micro demands to customize their comfort.
Room service orders.
The room service scripts in the material are brilliant. A guest doesn't just call down and ask for food. The script demands total exactness.
Like the breakfast order.
Yes. Someone orders a classic American breakfast, but they mandate the eggs be scrambled, the bacon be extra crispy, with a side of hash browns, milk for the coffee.
And it must be delivered in exactly 20 minutes.
Exactly 20 minutes. Then you have Mrs. Smith in room 407 calling down simply to demand extra towels. Or Mr. Patel in room 619 ordering chilled champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries for a special occasion.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are talking about the concept of purchased expectations.
Purchase expectations.
Yeah. When you book a hotel room, you aren't just renting a mattress for 8 hours. You are purchasing an expectation of care, of immediate responsiveness, and of an elevated baseline of comfort that you probably don't even have at home.
Most of us don't have someone bringing us extra crispy bacon in exactly 20 minutes at home.
Right. So when Maria receives her perfect itinerary, or when Mr. Patel gets his perfectly chilled champagne, that hospitality feels almost like magic.
The social contract is being honored beautifully.
And the traveler feels incredibly secure.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because the guide also shows us what happens when that contract violently breaks down.
The nightmare scenario.
Oh, it's the ultimate hotel nightmare. There's a guest named Mr. Johnson in room 305. He requested a double bed, but the hotel stuck him with twins.
Strike one.
Strike one. The furniture is described as old and shabby. The towels literally feel like sandpaper.
The worst.
The light switch is broken, and there is zero hot water in the bathroom.
A complete systemic failure of the room.
Total failure. So the front desk agent, Sarah, offers to send maintenance up to fix the water, but she drops a bomb. The hotel is fully booked.
So they cannot move him to a new room.
Nope. And Mr. Johnson completely loses it. He rejects the maintenance offer and immediately demands the manager.
Which is a very common script in itself.
It is. Think about a hotel as a complex theater production. You have the flawless front of house with Maria and Mr. Patel, everyone hitting their marks, the champagne is cold, the bacon is crispy.
Illusion holds up.
But with Mr. Johnson, the backstage chaos crashes right through the scenery. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
When a hotel is genuinely fully booked and they can only offer a maintenance fix, is Mr. Johnson justified in his explosive anger? Or is he just acting like an entitled jerk who's breaking the unwritten rules of travel etiquette?
The reaction actually has very little to do with etiquette and everything to do with a ruptured psychological contract.
Okay, how so?
Well, remember the transit phase we just discussed. Travel is exhausting. It strips away your autonomy. The hotel is supposed to be the fortress at the end of that vulnerability.
The safe harbor.
Exactly. When Mr. Johnson discovers that his basic needs, hot water, comfortable beds, soft towels are all missing, and the hotel has no alternative room to offer, his sense of security just evaporates.
Wow. Yeah. I guess when you put it like that, it's pretty overwhelming.
That explosive anger and the immediate demand for the manager isn't just him being difficult. It is a literal fight-or-flight response happening right there at the front desk.
He feels trapped in a bad transaction.
He is. The polite conversational script goes out the window because the fundamental foundation of the agreement was never provided.
The anger is really just vulnerability wearing a mask.
That's a great way to put it.
For you listening, you're probably thinking about your own worst hotel experience right now. And suddenly that urge to yell at a front desk clerk makes a lot more sense. You were just trying to defend your safe harbor.
But eventually, you do have to leave that safe harbor.
Right. You have to step out of the lobby and into the destination itself. And this brings us to the final phase, navigating logistics, rentals, and the wild.
Because inside the airplane or the hotel lobby, the environment is strictly controlled by a single corporation providing a service.
The rules are clear.
Exactly. Once you step outside, that bubble pops. You must actively negotiate with a chaotic local environment to get what you want.
And the guide spends an inordinate amount of time detailing how to ask for directions.
Which seems basic, but it's crucial.
Yeah, like one example is simple. Someone asks for the restroom, and they're told to go down the hallway and take the first left. Easy.
Sure.
But then someone asks for the tourist information office. The directions are a literal maze.
Oh, I remember this one.
It's like, go across the terminal, past the cafe, past the airline office, turn right, and find it on the left between the car rentals and the hotel reservation desk.
And the traveler has to repeat the entire sequence back just to make sure they got it.
Yes. We all know how to ask for directions, so why focus so heavily on this specific, drawn-out interaction?
It highlights a process called verbal verification.
Verbal verification.
Right. Repeating things back isn't just a language comprehension exercise. When you are navigating an alien environment, you lack the spatial awareness you have in your hometown.
You're flying blind.
Basically. By echoing the complex instructions back to the local, you are actively building a shared mental map. You are confirming that the simulation of the terminal you just built in your head matches the physical reality.
That is fascinating. And once you build that map and find the rental desks, the interactions become deeply transactional again.
Oh, very much so. It rivals Oliver's airport check-in.
Totally. The guide shows a family of 5 from Atlanta arriving in Miami. They have to calculate exactly what kind of vehicle will hold 2 adults, 3 kids, and luggage, finally negotiating an SUV for 3 days.
The logistics are intense.
And it's not just big rentals. Take a traveler named Mark on the beach. He doesn't just stroll onto the sand and sit down.
No, he has to rent the gear.
He has to negotiate the rental of 2 beach loungers at $15 each and 2 parasols at $10 each, handing over exactly $50 just to exist comfortably by the ocean.
It's highly specific.
Now, if you're listening to this, you might be thinking, I don't use a script. I just want to relax on my vacation.
Which is fair.
But listening to this, tracking down hidden tourist desks, securing SUVs for 5 people, paying $50 just to sit on the sand, I mean, I've got to say, it sounds like a ton of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's like learning the mechanics of a complex new video game just to play the very first level.
I love that analogy because that is the great paradox of modern travel. We desperately seek leisure, but leisure travel is highly administrative.
Highly administrative, yeah.
You are constantly managing logistics, budgets, unfamiliar geographies, and cultural nuances. Your video game analogy is incredibly accurate.
Right. You get dropped into a new zone.
You're dropped into a brand new map. You
Yeah.
have to learn the local transport mechanics, figure out the unwritten rules of the beach, translate the currency.
Paying for those beach chairs is almost like spending in-game tokens to unlock a specific resting zone so your character can finally recharge.
Exactly. The relaxation only comes after you've successfully navigated the administrative burden of the environment.
And the ultimate example of this paradox in our material is the preparation for the 5-day Machu Picchu trek. Talk about a complex quest line to beat.
Oh, the packing list for that is intense.
The guide gives these travelers this rugged, demanding list. Sturdy hiking shoes, a small backpack, trekking poles for the steep inclines.
Layers to survive unpredictable sun, rain, and the chill.
Plus, there are strict rules of the trail. No littering, stay on designated paths, and respect the local communities. It sounds incredibly wild and demanding.
But then comes the twist.
Right. The very next breath, the guide reassures them that they don't need camping equipment because they're sleeping in comfortable lodges.
No tents required.
And they don't even need to bring food because skilled private chefs are going to cook their breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day on the mountain.
It is the perfect synthesis of everything we've been unpacking today.
The curated adventure.
The Machu Picchu trek is the ultimate curated adventure. It represents our deep desire to experience the wild, unpredictable highlands, but without ever fully surrendering our baseline of comfort.
We want to feel like rugged explorers.
We do, but we still demand the purchased expectations of the hotel contract. The scripts we use here, like listening to the safety briefing or respecting the ancient customs of the Andes, they allow us to safely touch the edge of the wilderness, secure in the knowledge that a private chef is preparing a gourmet meal for us at the lodge.
Wow. We are literally commodifying the wild.
We really are.
So what does this all mean? We've got from the hyper-specific data exchange of checking a bag to Chicago to the psychological survival mechanism of small talk at the 30,000 feet
We've seen the magic of the perfect hotel check-in.
and the explosive fight-or-flight fallout of a room with sandpaper towels and no hot water. And we've navigated the heavy administrative work of renting SUVs and beach loungers all the way up to a fully catered trek through the Andes.
What it means is that these everyday conversations, these mundane interactions over extra crispy bacon or the location of the tourist office, they are not just practical language tools.
They're much more than that.
They are the invisible scaffolding that makes global mobility possible. Without these shared scripts, the friction of interacting with foreign systems, strange environments, and unknown people would be completely overwhelming.
We'd just be paralyzed.
Completely. Every time you step up to a counter or ask for directions, you are engaging in a centuries-old tradition of traveler and host, negotiating the terms of your journey so you can explore the world safely.
It really changes how you view the whole experience. I mean, next time you find yourself on a long flight or checking into a hotel, pay close attention to the script you're following. Are you playing the role of the curious conversationalist like Mike, building a bridge with a stranger?
Or are you the transactional traveler just trying to anchor yourself to a 1:45 p.m. arrival time like Oliver?
Exactly. But here's something else for you to chew on. With the rise of AI agents that can just book our complex itineraries for us and real-time translation apps sitting right in our earbuds, are these universal human travel scripts about to disappear completely?
That is a great question.
And if machines take over the negotiation of our journeys, what happens to the shared humanity of the trip? Something to ponder during your next layover. Until next time, keep diving deep.